Hello YouTube, I'm Handheld Guru today, back with a quick review of the Club Nintendo Game & Watch Ball Reward. So, quick history on the Game & Watch series and the Game & Watch Ball. So, the year was 1980, and the handheld market was still young. It was barely starting out. In fact, the first handheld had just only come out in the market, the Microvision, which I don't have because I wasn't born in the 70s, unfortunately, so I can't own one yet. I need to find one on eBay, though. That doesn't cost too much. Anyway, it was the first interchangeable cartridge system. However, it was a new thing, and the company did not know how to handle a handheld market. Meanwhile, Nintendo, back over in Japan, was releasing the first line of Game & Watch. The first one was Ball. This is the Club Nintendo remake of it, which I'll get into in a minute. Now, they brought it over to America in a form with the Time Out company, who released 4 Game & Watch games, and they became really, really popular, and it's why the Microvision demise happened so fast. Well, 30 years later, in 2010, Nintendo in Japan decided, hey, let's remake this thing, put it on Club Nintendo for the highest point value we would give, which in America is 1,200, and see what happens. And the result is pretty darn good. So, what you'd get when you first get the system is you get a little pouch where you can put the game in, and a thank you for your feedback. So let's get into the system itself right here. Now, it is very primitive. It has retained its original 1980s with a very nice metal feel to it. It's a very good sized screen compared to the Game Boy, which would come out a few years later. Yeah, if you were living in the 80s, you were used to carrying one of these guys or one of the dual screened or really whatever one besides the tabletops, which you really couldn't fit in your pocket because they were called tabletop, which would make sense. This was a big wake-up call. So yeah, big compared to this really tiny thing. So just some notes for collectors who may get fooled by this remake. On the back here, this originally slid out, so you could change the battery. On this, you have to screw it out. And of course, if you don't notice this and you're a collector, and you're buying one off of eBay, and it says, it's the original, and you see this, it's not the original. Club Nintendo did not exist in 1980. Alright, so let's look at this. So, Game & Watch, you have a couple functions here. You have Game A, Game B, and Time. Thus, title, Game & Watch. It's a watch. It's not one you would wear around your wrist, but I mean, put this in your pocket, you pull it out, and like, oh, what time is it? Oh, look at that. I mean, that was pretty cool. If you didn't want to wear a watch. So, here, this is before D-pads were invented, so you have 2 buttons to control, left and right. Pretty good sized screen. Takes like a little circular battery. And yeah, so pretty cool system. Let's start out with Game A real quick. Sound effects, they're decent. Retain the charm of the Game Watch. And on this feature, in this system, watch this, hit time. You can turn the volume off, which is something you could not do on any of the original Game & Watches. So this is a cool feature. It's pretty... So you get the idea. You're supposed to juggle those balls up in the air for as long as you can to get a high score. And you can check your high score by holding that button. My high score is 122. Guys, beat that, which you probably could. I think I actually beat it on the Game & Watch Gallery 2 for the Game Boy Color. So yeah, there you go. It's pretty primitive, and we'll go to Game B in just a minute. I just have to fail, which takes a minute actually, which is funny. When you fail, you can go straight to Game B, which I will. There's my high score, pretty high. Now you have 3. Kind of hard one to play with one hand. But, I mean, you can see the screen. Yeah, I failed. It's kind of hard to play with one hand. Actually, it's not terribly hard, but with this playing through the viewfinder, it's a little bit tricky. So go to time. Check the time. Right now it's 3:40. This is ball up there. So yeah, this is basically Game & Watch Ball in a nutshell. You can reset the time stuff on there. Now, for people, and here's the box if you want to see it again real quick. Let me open it. Got this back in August. Open it up and it says, special thanks to you. A tray in there, I think. Yeah, there we are. Manual stuff in here. I'll put the manual out. Game & Watch Ball, 2011. Oh, sorry, 2011. I think it was 2010 for Japan, though. So, 2011 reissue, operations manual. So, yeah, that's Game & Watch Ball. If you're not a Club Nintendo member, which you should be, you can get this on eBay for $40 to $50, which might seem like a lot, but the original Game & Watch Ball goes for about anywhere from $200 to $1,000. And as soon as Nintendo stops making these, this price is just going to creep up there slowly. I don't think it's going to get very high, considering there's a lot of these in circulation, but yeah, I mean, it's a good thing. I mean, if you are a Game & Watch collector and you say this isn't really a Game & Watch, it really is, so pick it up, add it to your collection, and say, hey, I've got the Club Nintendo reissue. And if you're a Club Nintendo member, it's 1,200 coins, like I said before. A lot of games you need to buy, but it's well worth it. Alright, thanks YouTube. I'll see you next week.